Hi, hello students. Once again, I am very much delighted to meet you through this video. Today, we are going to learn the remaining contents that we have to learn in active voice and passive voice. Recapitulation is very important for retention students. So, before going to learn new things in this topic, we must recall what we have learned in the last video. In last video, we learned what is mean by voice and what are the types of voice. That is what is mean by active voice, what is mean by passive voice, and what are other steps involved in changing active sentence into passive one. Okay students, let me recall what we have seen in the last video. In last video, I told you what is mean by voice. Voice is nothing but is a verb that shows the relationship between subject and verb which is presented in the sentence. And voice can be classified into two. First one is active voice and second one is passive voice. Active voice is nothing but it gives much importance to subject. In that sentence, subject is the doer of the action. Whereas in passive sentence, object receives the much importance. That is, what kind of action is done by the subject or what kind of action is received by the object is given much important in passive voice. And next to that, I told you what are all the steps involved in while changing active sentence into passive. The first step is find out the sentence pattern of the given sentence, so that only we can able to classify the subject into S plus V plus O. In second step, we have to interchange the subject and object. Subject changes into object and object changes into subject. In third step, we have to add suitable be form verb which is according to the tense of the verb which is given in the active sentence. And fourth important step is main verb should be changed into past participle form of the verb. We have to change the main verb into V3. In fifth step, we have to add preposition by in front of the new object in the passive voice. Passive voice la நம்ம மாத்தக்கூடிய new object க்கு முன்னாடி preposition by add பண்ணணும். And last step is we have to change the pronouns properly because we have a subject pronoun in active voice and we have to change it as a object pronoun in passive voice. Okay students, let me see some more examples. In last video itself I have given some more example which is in statement, and here also I have given one sentence. Just look at it. Santa Claus is distributing sweets to the children. Please remember students, we have to follow all the steps that are involved. First of all, we have to separate the sentence into S plus V plus O. Here, Santa Claus is subject, is distributing is verb. Santa Claus is distributing what? Sweets. So here the word sweets is answered for the question what? And what is distributed by Santa Claus to whom? யாருக்கு என்ன distribute பண்ணப்பட்டது? To whom? யாருக்கு distribute பண்ணப்பட்டது? To the children. So the words to the children is answered for the question whom, so that I marked it as indirect object. And I already told you we have to change the direct object into subject, so that I have changed sweets as a subject and Santa Claus is changed as object in the passive voice. Next, we have to add suitable be form verb, and which is according to the tense of the verb which is presented in the active sentence. We have present continuous tense here, is distributing, and here we used sweets as a subject which is in plural, so that I add or as a be form verb. It is in present continuous tense, so that I add being as a be form verb. Here distribute is changed as V3 distributed, and by preposition is added, and I add indirect object in front of the preposition. We may add it at the end of the sentence also, which is not a problem. Let us know how to change interrogative sentences into passive one. Students, we already knew that we have two types of questions. First one is WH questions and second one is yes or no type questions. Here, at first, we may learn the questions which is started with the question word who. ஹூன்னு ஸ்டார்ட் ஆகிற கொஷின்ஸை நம்ம எப்படி சேஞ்ச் பண்ணலாம் அப்படிங்கிறத நம்ம பார்க்கலாம். ஜஸ்ட் லுக் அட் த கொஷின், ஹூ வில் ஹெல்ப் யூ. Here will help is a verb which is in simple future tense and you is a object, and here we have a formula. Just look at it, which is used for the question which is started with the question word who. By whom plus auxiliary plus object plus verb. So we have to follow this formula when changing the question which is started with the question word who. So I use by whom instead of who as for formula, and just look at it, the verb will help is changed as will be helped. Here we have to be added be as a be form verb, and according to that formula we have to use that auxiliary verb which is presented in the active sentence is will, and next to the auxiliary verb we have to be used object. Here object is you, and main verb help is changed as V3 helped. In front of that V3 I used this be form verb. So here who will help you changed as by whom will you be helped. Is it clear, students? In case students, the question in the active voice is started with the auxiliaries do or does or did, means what we have to do? Just look at it, students. We must analyze the questions which is started with do or does. If it is started with do or does, means the sentence is in present tense. So that we have to analyze the object which is presented in the active sentence. Whether it is in singular object, means we have to be used is as a be form verb. No, which is in plural object, means we have to be used are as a be form verb. Do does nu question start ஆனா the sentence which is presented in the present tense. அப்பனா அந்த active sentenceல இருக்கிற ஆப்ஜெக்டை நம்ம அனலைஸ் பண்ணணும். அது சிங்குலராக இருந்தால் இஸ்ங்கிற பி ஃபார்ம் வேர்போ, ப்ளூரலில் இருந்துச்சுன்னா ஆருங்கிற பி ஃபார்ம் வேர்போ நம்ம யூஸ் பண்ணணும். No, which is in started with did, means the sentence is given in the past tense. So we have to analyze the object in the active sentence which is in singular, means we have to use was as a be form verb, whereas plural object is presented in the active sentence, means we have to use were as a be form verb, which is necessary to follow, students, so that we have to analyze these things whether the question is started with the verb do, does or did. Whether the active sentence which is started with the auxiliary verb do, does, did, means we have a common formula for changing into passive voice, students. Just look at the formula: auxiliary verb plus object plus verb plus by preposition plus subject. Just look at the example. Does the cat like milk? The question is started with the question word does, so it is in simple present tense. So let us separate the sentence into S plus V plus O. Here subject is the cat, verb is does like. The cat likes what? Milk. So here milk is object. Just look at the verb does like is changed as is liked. Why I have used is here means I already told you, analyze the object in the active voice. Here the object milk is singular, so that I used is as a be form verb. Just look at the answer. As for formula, I used is as a auxiliary verb because the milk is here in singular. And after that auxiliary, I used object as a subject. And main verb like is changed as V3. Next to that, I used preposition by. At last, I changed the subject the cat as an object in the sentence. Is it clear, students?